Welcome to the Bookish Hour with your hosts, Sarah E. Burr and J.C. Kenney. We'll be starting soon. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bookish Hour. I am Sarah Burr.
And I am J.C. Kenney, and it's Thursday night. It's Baby Friday. It's time to party. Sarah, raise a glass with me because I heard a rumor that we released a couple of books recently. Woo!
Cheers. Yes. And so for our viewers who are joining us this evening, our screen might look a little bit different because we don't have a third person with us this evening because we are our own special guests. We are celebrating the releases of Concert Hall Hit by J.C. Kenney and Tag Me for Murder by myself, Sarah E. Burr. And we're here to just have fun, to talk about our books. We've got some fun games and giveaways lined up for folks who are joining us live. So it's going to be a very fun evening. And we've got for our folks who are joining us live, we really appreciate that you are here to celebrate with us. Mark,
thank you.
Chelsea, DHB, Farmhouse Reader, Debbie, hello. Thank you so much for being here. If you have questions for us during tonight's broadcast about our books, our writing, whatever we're up to, we're always happy to take questions from our audience members. But to get us started, JC, why don't you tell us what Darcy Gahn is up to in Concert Hall Hit?
Hey, I wrote a book. This one right here came out April 25th. In all seriousness, Concert Hall Hit is the second in the Darcy Gahn mysteries. For those of you who aren't familiar with Darcy, she is a former drummer in a punk rock band. She ran into some difficulties in her life where she was drinking too much, and then she got hurt and lost her drumming career, pretty much lost just about everything. In the first story, which is called Record Store Reckoning, we find her 5 years after her lowest point in life, and she is managing a little record store just outside of Muncie, Indiana, home of Ball State University, by the way. And this is a town called Marysburg, Indiana. So the second book in the series, Concert Hall Hit, it involves the return of kind of an old nemesis of Darcy's. There's a legendary blues guitarist who is making a tour, kind of a comeback tour. And as part of his comeback tour, what he is doing is he is going and visiting and playing concerts in the hometowns of people that he has basically hurt, whether that's physically, emotionally, financially in the past. So it's a little bit of an apology tour. And so he's going to kick off the tour there in Marysburg, in Darcy's hometown, because I don't want to go into it too much, but he did Darcy wrong really badly back in the day. The night after the first concert, or the night after the concert, Darcy and her friends go to the show. And it's a fabulous show. She is so excited. A little bit after the show, she gets a call that the guy, his name is Derek Tufnell, has been found dead. And initially, some people think that maybe Darcy did it because she was the last person seen with him. So she takes it upon herself to investigate, not only to clear her name, but also to find out who did it. Who done it. So that's kind of Concert Hall Hit. It's a lot of fun. I like to think I'm a huge music fan. I think the story reflects that because there are, like the first book in the series, all kinds of musical references from anything from pop to rock to jazz to classical. And I will give you all one hint that it is a cozy mystery. So in the end, the good guys win.
That's what we like to hear.
Yes.
And
yes.
when I was reading this, I have to say that the amount of knowledge that you have about the music scene, I had to really figure out okay, what is real and what have you made up? because like what is fiction? Because I was just like, wow, like for a while I was thinking that Derek was like a real person. I was like, oh wow, like this is intense. Like,
Hmm.
and it was just like the realism of it, I think is just one of like the most charming parts of it, because you're learning so much about the music scene, um and Darcy's insight that she has into the industry is just really fascinating. And of course, the record store being Command Central, it's always fun to see how everybody there is doing.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I mean, I've been a music fan all my life. I was my senior year in high school, as many of us do. Well, I don't know if the younger crowd does, but back in the day when I graduated, there was always that, end of the year newspaper or newsletter where, you know, our classmates, the seniors, we voted for who was going to be, who was going to be the model, who was going to be president, who was all that kind of stuff. I was voted most likely to be a rock star.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, despite the fact that I've never played an instrument beyond air guitar. But it's just music has always really meant a lot to me in my life. And so in writing these stories, it's a way to kind of share that passion. It's like I recently wrote a blog post about the fact that I've been fortunate to, my first concert I was like 14 years old. And, here I'm 57 now, over 40 years later, still going to shows and still loving it. And I do want to mention to our good buddy, Mary Monin, who just chimed in. Yes, Mary, don't worry. The blues are represented. Mary, for those of you who don't know, is from Kansas City, home of the Kansas City Blues. The Kansas City also has a fabulous jazz museum, with a lot of stuff saluting Charlie Parker. So if you're ever in the KC area, you got to go visit that museum. It's amazing. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I was able to Google a lot also. But it helps that my younger son is a musician. And so I kind of got a glimpse behind the scenes with what he did or does. So yeah, so it kind of worked for me.
I love it. And having learned this fun fact about you being most likely to be a rock star, for my superlatives in high school, I was voted most musical. So that's another thing that we have in common.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
although I did not play an instrument whatsoever, but I sang like it was nobody's business. So
Well, and I tell you what, for those of you who haven't seen Sarah's recent post where she serenaded the greatest puppy dog in the world, Evie, Sarah has an amazing voice in all the right ways. I probably at this point have an amazing voice in all the wrong ways, but Sarah yeah, I was, it was corny as all get out. I loved every second of it, but it was also, you got a beautiful voice.
thank you. I mean, I absolutely have loved performing like my entire life, and I don't get to do it that much anymore, except when I am creating parody songs to sing to Evie. I have, the Star Wars theme, the Jurassic Park theme, the Harry Potter theme, like any type of like instrumental music, I've pretty much put it to song for Evie, and she's
Yeah.
just like not that impressed by it.
Well, she doesn't know what she doesn't appreciate what she has. Let's put it that
Yes.
way, because she could have somebody like me singing to her and she'd be running. Let me tell you, with those sensitive dog ears. But I'm not the only one that had a new book come out recently. Up here on the shelf, I have the first of Coco and her buddies'
There she is.
adventures, but number 2 came out the same day as this one did for
Yes,
me.
we have.
So,
We even shared book birthdays.
yeah. So tell us about Coco number 2.
Oh man, so Coco finds herself. She is ready after the events of book 1. She's solved her first case. She wants to put all of that nastiness behind her. However, she did have a lot of fun with her friends, kind of on the trail of a killer. So when her next door neighbor is found murdered, she's intrigued, but she's like, hey, I really don't have any skin in this game. Like, this isn't my thing to deal with. And besides, she doesn't really like her next door neighbor because,
Mm-hmm.
spoiler alert, he's like the world's most awful person. I enjoy killing people that are bad in my books. I will eventually have to kill somebody good just to spice it up a little bit, but I do like to take out I like the baddies to get what's coming to them. So really bad next door neighbor. Coco's like, I don't want to get involved with this. However, the next door neighbor was killed with a corkscrew that was engraved with Jasper Hastings' name. And Jasper is Coco's best friend. And obviously, the police are like, how did a personalized corkscrew with Jasper's name end up in this man's neck? And that's when Coco's like, oh man, I cannot sit on the sidelines. Jasper would kill me if I didn't get involved in a case that he was on the hook for, considering that the first time she got involved with a case, it was for some clients that she had. But she doesn't hesitate to just dive right in and figure out who killed Larry Dunmer. He hasn't been in town very long, so it's like, how did this guy like make an enemy enough to kill him? And while we are dealing with the murder mystery, we've got the 4th of July coming up, and so there's a fun festival, which I love writing festivals, especially in cozy mysteries. So we're all the town is kind of in a little bit of a panic because it's like, man, we've got our 4th of July party coming up, and there's a killer on the loose. So it's up to Coco, Jasper, Charlotte, and Hudson. The squad is back together to save the day, or they'll get canceled permanently.
Yes,
So,
which is kind of intense. I do, while it was great seeing the squad, and I want to talk about the friendship that those four have, I also want to ask you a little bit about kind of the family aspect this time around with Coco's mom.
Coco's mom,
Or
yes.
or should we say Cordelia's mother?
Oh, yeah. So I think I when I'm writing a scene with Coco's parents, it's always so funny because they just like refuse to call her Coco. She's Delia to them because that's, her given name is Cordelia. They've called her that her entire life. And, Coco just can't get them to get on board with this rebranding. However, fun fact, they do call Coco's younger sister Dorothy by the nickname she enjoys, and it's Thea. And so there's a little bit of sibling rivalry around like, why do you call her by the name she wants, but you just won't call me Coco? But regardless of all of the dynamics, Coco's parents absolutely adore her. They're worried sick about her, given that with the events in book 1, they're like, you really put your life on the line. And if we can help you in any way that we can, we want to. And especially since Jasper is involved, Jasper has been friends with Coco since she was in 2nd grade. He's practically grown up at their house. So they are very much like a family unit in themselves, with Jasper being a part of their team. And so once Moira, who was not named after Moira Rose, strangely enough. This book was written long before I had ever even heard of Schitt's Creek, and I was just like, I can't believe that this woman's name is Moira.
Well, if you're named Moira, you're fabulous.
Now that I have developed the character more, it's like, she kind of has. I mean, she's much more down to earth than Moira Rose is, but there are some elements in there that are really fun. And yeah, I really had a lot. I knew when I was writing the book that I wanted to have more of Coco's family involved, just because, her friends are such a tight-knit group, but her parents live right in town. So it's like, I wanted them to have a larger presence in this book. And that kind of continues into book 3, where we see some other family members coming into play, and helping Coco out. And so it's really, it's a family affair. And, because of Coco's mom having the position that she does on the town council, she has some access to certain areas and certain dark corridors that Coco can do a little snooping in while she is on the case. So it works out for everybody in the end.
And, that brings up a really interesting point that because of Coco's sleuthing, she's got the knack for it. But between that and the fact that she is just a real, she's an absolute rock star when it comes to social media, being online, the internet, computers, all that kind of stuff. I thought it was really interesting when we had that one sequence where she found out something really important, but she realized she couldn't tell the police about it because that could put her in some serious hot water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. the thing that I have been finding that's the most difficult for me in writing a cozy mystery, and JC, I would love to know your thoughts on this as well. But like, I'm very much of like, the pacing has to be day one, day two, day three, day four, and like the murder solved, because that doesn't happen in real life. And the information that police now have access to, and I might be a little like hyper focused on this because I consume my true crime podcasts like candy, um, and hearing all of the information that they're able to get, like being able to, I was listening to this new technology about Google Maps, where Google can provide all of the active cell phones in a certain area and like pinpoint like who is in this area during a span of time. So you can begin to figure out like, oh, like this number is in this area, like we should talk to them and see if they're involved in the crime. So knowing that the police have access to all of this information, for me, it's like, okay, my sleuth has to get a hold of this a lot faster than they do, because unfortunately, with all of this information, it takes a long time to get a hold of. You have to get warrants, you have to get subpoena records from cell phone companies, all of this stuff. And so our sleuths are able to kind of operate without using all of that red tape. And that's why I like really love it when Coco is able to kind of not necessarily break the rules per se, but she's able to do things that the police can't do without a whole lot of like bureaucracy involved.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the things that she does obtain through those channels, she's kind of like, how do I get this information to them without revealing what I did? And thus she has to dig deeper so she can kind of provide the details in a more above board manner.
Yeah.
So I'm curious for Darcy, when she begins her investigation, what is her relationship with the police? Because Coco has a pretty good working relationship with the Central Shores Police Department. Darcy, on the other hand, has a little bit of a nemesis working at the Marysburg Police Station.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to take a second also to thank Mary and Chelsea and Grace for joining us also. So thank you all very much. But yeah, Darcy actually has a very mixed bag relationship with the Marysburg Police Department. The detective sergeant, who is, Marysburg's a small town, it's only about 10,000 people. So they only have one full-fledged detective. And this is a woman who crossed paths with Darcy a lot when Darcy was at her worst. And so this detective sergeant, her name is Caitlin Rosengarten. She's a very good police officer and she's a very good investigator, but she has a lot of memories of, Darcy's days when she was drinking too much and having to haul Darcy in and leave her in the drunk tank time and time again. So she just really doesn't have any time for Darcy these days, despite the fact that Darcy's been through rehab, that she's been sober for 5 years now, that she's got a steady job. She runs this record store now. So it's a real challenge for Darcy having to work around Detective Rosengarten. What she's done, though, is fortunately she's found a kind of unanticipated ally in one of the street officers. And his name is Paul Gerard. And she kind of finds that Paul is willing to help her a little bit from time to time. And she appreciates that. So when she finds out interesting, potentially relevant information, she contacts him. So they keep the relationship as far as kind of sleuth and cop relation goes. They keep it kind of on the down low, because of the fact that, Detective Rosengarten, still has it in for Darcy. And it's just kind of one of those things that they kind of work around the detective. And, to your point, though, about, sleuths doing what police officers aren't allowed to, I look at it a lot the same way. I kind of look at it in my mind that it's a little bit of a race. that naturally the police, they want to solve crimes as quickly as possible. But yes, because of our laws that are on the books, which are good laws, they have to go at a certain pace that, our amateur sleuths don't have to. So for me, it's always one of those things where I want to try to make sure that I get this story wrapped up and the crime solved in an expedient way, where I don't want to be, dumping all over the place and say, well, these guys are just, or these people are just lazy and they don't know what they're doing. And so it's taking them forever. They have lots of cases on their desks and things like that. So for me, it's kind of that I look at it the same way that you do, is that if I can have my sleuths do their investigating, maybe bending some rules. Yeah, I don't want them breaking rules. I don't want them breaking laws too much. But at the end of the day, if it helps solve the case, then it works out all right.
And I think you made a really good point about not having our police look lazy. I know that can sometimes be the how police stations are presented in a cozy mystery, because then it kind of spurs the main character to get involved, to be like, hey, like I need to be the one to see justice done. But you're right with the state of how our law enforcement is structured. Like, it takes so and it's, I'm learning as I'm listening to these cases in real life, that what I thought was how quickly like DNA results could come back or a fingerprint could come back is so horribly wrong. And to be able to educate readers, because I think a lot of us still have the CSI like instant like upload into the database and get your DNA results.
Yeah.
And so being able to educate readers as we are creating these stories and letting them know, like, hey, it actually takes weeks to get DNA results back, or requesting all of this information does take time. And like things like, once a person is dead, you don't have like access to everything in their life. You have to go through the proper channels. So being able to have our sleuths do that, I think, is a really fun, well, not fun per se, but it's a really creative way to navigate our modern day system as we're writing these contemporary mysteries. So
yeah, and I think the other thing is too is not to be talking about police constantly, but the reality of it is, because I think, Sarah, you and I are of the same mind, that we write cozy mysteries. We know that, okay, it's a stretch. If somebody asked me to solve a mystery, I would go hide under the bed. But the other thing is, the reality of it is a lot of people these days are hesitant to talk to those in authority. And so an amateur sleuth is somebody who can be a lot more approachable. And so somebody may know something, they may not be willing to tell it to the police, but it's like, yeah, I know who you are. You run the record shop, or yeah, you do that blog, all the great recipes and the great drinks for this summer. So yeah, I'll talk to you. You seem okay.
Yeah, I think that is another tactic that we are able to use as writers to our advantage.
Yeah.
And we've got Mark saying that he prefers his cozies with police who are good at their job. So
yeah,
I think I think that it opens up the door just for a lot more fun sleuthing opportunities for our characters, because they're able to kind of go, again, not necessarily breaking the law, but walking a very fine line. So I'm curious if you can tell us, JC, any of the like moments that Darcy finds herself like kind of walking that line very, very, the tightrope it's a balancing act.
I think with Darcy in book 2, one of the biggest challenges that she was faced was that as she investigates the case, the murder victim he's a touring musician, and this is the first stop of what was supposed to be a months-long tour. So basically, the folks in the band and the crew, they're all set up at a hotel for a few days while the police conduct their investigation. So that gives Darcy the opportunity to do some snooping and maybe some listening behind some doors. But at the same time, these are folks that are, they may be grieving, or maybe one of these folks is the murderer. And so Darcy kind of struggles from time to time. How can she get information from this small, tight-knit group of folks who aren't from the community? She knows of them. Many of them know of her because of her past career as a drummer, but it's still a real challenge in trying to figure out how to extract information from these folks in a way that is, that's as ethical as our amateur sleuths often are. And so that I think she really had a real challenge with that. Another thing she did that was a real challenge is when she ended up finding one critical piece of evidence. What should she do? And I don't want to give away too much there, but she really was pleased that her instincts during this sequence were correct, but at the same time, it was like, oh, I hope it didn't screw anything up. Yeah. So, it's a challenge.
I think, and a quick note, saying hello to Ashley and Karina. Thank you guys very much for joining us.
Hi, folks.
When we are, we're talking about these moments where we are kind of straddling the line of like how much are we potentially contaminating a crime scene, or are we contaminating evidence? But our sleuths also very much like to have fun, and that's my favorite thing about writing a cozy mystery is the enjoyment for me comes from writing a story where the bad guy is going to get it in the end, like no doubt about it. So why don't we enjoy the ride along the way? And for Coco, she goes into parties, she goes into these like new fun shops that are popping up, or to these new clubs that are available, or to these events that are happening around town. And I'm curious for the venues that Darcy visits. Are there places from book one that make a reappearance other than the record store, or are you introducing folks to brand new areas in Marysburg?
Well, it's a little bit of both. Yes, the record store, that's the focus. It's like for fans of bakeries or bookstore cozy mysteries, the record store is the kind of the focal point. But one of the new venues this time is the theater where the concert took place and where the murder victim was found. But we also revisit some an all-time favorite, which is the Mexican restaurant where her good buddy Thea works. Thea's the best. She's a bartender, and she and Darcy just connected years ago. And Thea's kind of one of these. She's kind of like that. She's almost a little bit of a Yoda to Darcy's Luke, in that she listens and she offers good advice, and she cares about Darcy. So Selena's Mexican Grill and Cantina is one of the places we revisit, and I'm trying to think about some others. We take some time to see her at her home again, her fishing cabin. And she also spends a lot more time in this book on the bike path that I maybe mentioned it a little bit in the first book, but in the second book, there's some things that happen on the bike path. She loves it, but it's not all wine and roses there, let me tell you. How about Coco? I mean, I know that, I guess one of the things that I want to ask you about Coco is, when we've touched on her great group of friends, but not only is she needing to spend this time in book 2 of your series solving a mystery, a murder mystery, there's another mystery going on involving her boyfriend that's tough. So can you tell us a little bit what's going on with Hudson?
Yeah. So in the Hudson story arc really came to me, I hadn't planned for it to go in the direction that it did until after reading reviews of book 1. And I know that we're not supposed to read reviews, but I like to read them because it helps me figure out, like, okay, Am I on the right track? Trying to learn as much as I can. And I feel like if you hear the same note over and over, maybe you need to adjust something, because I have these characters in my head, and sometimes maybe I don't do the best at explaining who they are, or their sense of character. And so after book one, I had a lot of people questioning whether or not Hudson was a good guy. And spoiler alert, he's the best. So I was like,
Yes.
how did I get this so wrong? Like, how did I make people question like who he was as a person? Yes, Coco has her insecurities that she's dealing with, but those are very much her insecurities. They are not, you know, Hudson isn't feeding into those. It's something that she has to work through just because of who she is and the anxiety that she deals with. And so I was like, how do I show that like Hudson is really this phenomenal person? So he needed his own storyline. And how his story came to be is I wanted to really have him and Coco work through a problem together that wasn't with their relationship. It was something that was an external force that was affecting them both. And without giving too much away, Hudson becomes, he's being sexually harassed at work. And so he's in a very tough position because he's a man, and it's something that he himself doesn't feel comfortable with advertising to people because of just the stigmas that are still around workplace sexual harassment. So they really have to like work through this together. And I not enjoyed, but I really had, I really connected with them both and thought that their relationship was much, much stronger and growing from this. So I really hope that it resonates with readers in a way that, they see that, Hudson isn't this horrible person because he hasn't proposed to Coco after 4 years of being together. So that was like my mission. I was like, I have to like show that he's a true partner, and that he's somebody that Coco can rely on, because I love writing the mysteries. Yes, there'll be some like romance stuff going on, especially more with Charlotte, and possibly Jasper as things continue. But I really love the idea of just Coco and Hudson being a solid unit and working together to move forward.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I think you nailed it. And I just want to tell you what Mark chimed in. Mark said, I loved Hudson's story in this book. You absolutely nailed it and did exactly what you were trying to do.
Oh,
so
well, thank you, Mark. I very much appreciate that. I'm very glad, because Hudson, and I'm sure, JC, you can kind of relate to this too, is like when you have a character that you really love, but other people aren't connecting with it, you're like, oh my gosh, like how do I make this work? And or make certain storylines work, or what have you. So we've been talking a lot about like the fun stuff that happens when we're writing, but what are the struggles? What was like the hardest thing for you to write in Concert Hall Hit?
I think the hardest thing for me was in book one, not that it was easy, but Darcy, I was able to rely on the underdog story overcoming past obstacles. And in book two, the challenge was that as someone who now is sober after battling, alcohol abuse disorder, and also having some anxiety challenges, those are still parts of her life. So the challenge was making sure that those were still relevant to the story without having that, basically having that aspect of book one's, I guess I'm doing a really bad job of thank God I'm a writer and not a speaker, because I'm doing a terrible job right now. But I didn't want to rehash everything in book two that we went through in book one, except for the fact that I thought it was important to be honest with the character that, okay, well, she, all of a sudden, people who didn't believe in her in book one, they believe in her now, but she still has these challenges every day. And that was something that I thought was important to include in the book. But I didn't want it to dominate. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, because you want to have that development, because this is a series. We know Darcy from book one, and it's not like she's just going to forget who she was or the struggles that she's had, and having to evolve those into something that is maybe not repetitive, but still like part of her growth. And I think that's a challenge that we all have, especially when we're writing a series, because, and especially, I forget how much time has passed since the end of book one to the beginning of book two.
It's been book one happened in April, and book two is the following fall, October. Okay. So it's been about 4 months.
Okay. So yeah. And so it's like
or 6 months, I guess.
If you think about like where you are in, if you think back 6 months ago, like you're still probably dealing with some of the same stuff that you're dealing with. So in order to make our characters authentic, you have to kind of bring along the things that were troubling them, but have it develop into something deeper. Or have them overcome it, or just be able to have them recognize it and keep moving forward.
Yeah. And I'd love to get your take on that. But Karina has a question. So how do both of you go first, Sarah, decide how and how much to weave these more serious issues of sexual harassment, anxiety, addiction into your books without weighing it down too much, since it's a cozy?
I mean, that is the $1 million question, because I think it's, for me, I try to have these are trying to emulate real life in a way, yet, you want to still be able to put on your rose-colored glasses at the end of the day and be in a cozy mystery. So I think that the seriousness of it needs to definitely be addressed and given some thought. And how I tend to do it is Coco has these moments of reflection where, after Hudson is, just kind of received this message that he's like, this is, here's another instance of harassment. And she kind of has to sit there and reflect and be like, how can I help? What can I do? But she can't solve the world's problems in a single sitting. So it's something that I think that's always, that she kind of keeps at the back of her mind when it's not the central focus. But it also helps to have my supporting characters steer her in a more, in a direction that's lighter and more entertaining, because, Hudson, he is kind of taking all of this on and like burying it within him. And he's like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. And being able to kind of direct Coco's energy elsewhere helps shift the focus of the story, because, you don't want to be pestering somebody who isn't really ready to speak about it. And so he's able to kind of, direct her and be the person that's like, hey, like, don't worry about me. And he often, and Coco makes a comment, she's like, look at him, like, he's the one reassuring me, like, what kind of, like, this is not how things should be. But they're able to kind of balance each other out with Coco's worries versus Hudson, being like, okay, like, let's just focus on something else because I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. 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 I think for me, I think a little bit about the old Mark Twain saying, you write what you know. Folks who follow me at all know that, I've been on antidepressants for over a decade now, that, my older child attempted to take their life back in 2013. My wife's a breast cancer survivor. So I have a lot of drama I can draw on. So, and while I say that lightly, I think for me, we all have our struggles. And everybody has some baggage. If there's somebody without any baggage in the world, I want to meet them and I want to buy them a soda pop because I want to tell them congratulations. I just think that's real life. And so it's important for me within the cozy realm to show a slice of that real life. I think, all the way back to Agatha Christie, And the fact that with Poirot, so many people dismissed him because he was this weird little foreigner dude, or they, Holmes, had an opium addiction. And so I think there is a long history of of authors writing, not so, pretty things into their books. But also, like you said, I think for me, I try to balance that with the friends and the found family or the real family aspect. That while my sleuths may have their challenges and their struggles, they have a great group of folks who love them and want them to succeed.
I think that's a very beautiful way to put it, and I think it helps readers relate to these books as well, because if you read something and the character, like, everything's sunshine and daisies, it's like, yes, it might be a nice flight of fancy, but after a while it's like, something's got to give. Like you said, like, how we all have our struggles, and I think being able to find those struggles within folks, but still see that they're surviving and they're overcoming these challenges, and they're meeting their demons head on, I think is a way that you can help inspire folks too.
Oh yeah. Hopefully
a beautiful way to think about it.
And talking about reaching readers, I think it's time to have some real fun. What do you think?
I think so too. We gotta lift this mood.
Yes.
You would think it's like, whoa, what kind of books did they release? We just released cozy mysteries.
Didn't mean to take that dark path.
But I think, in all honesty though, like, having that insight into how these books come about, I think just kind of enhances the experience for the reader. So I hope that our audience has enjoyed a little peek behind the curtain. But yes, let's have some fun. What we are going to be doing is we have some trivia questions lined up for you guys. And some of our trivia questions have giveaways tied to them.
Yes.
JC, do you want to tell folks what the giveaway items that you are doing this evening?
Yeah, so I'm kind of excited about this, kind of keeping in line with the whole record store concert music thing, that for two of my trivias, I'm going to be giving away a $10 gift card to Bandcamp. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Bandcamp, it's an online music store. It features a lot of up and coming and independent artists. So, for example, you won't find Beyonce there, but you will find Grace Potter's brand new record. So, it's I get a lot of my music from there. I think it's a really cool place. And so, I'm going to be giving away two $10 gift cards. What are you doing?
I am going to be giving away two, since Coco doesn't have something cool like a record store to reflect on, and nobody wants credits for like the meta, like for meta ads or whatever the heck Facebook is going to charge you money for. I am doing two $10 gift cards to Etsy. I absolutely love
Way
Etsy.
Cool.
It is I actually just recently started using it within like the past year and absolutely love it. You can find all these cool handmade things and hopefully have some fun. And so our trivia questions are going to be marked when they are giveaway oriented, but we'll also tell you guys. And what we will do, it's very similar to like our magic word function during our regular shows, where you enter into the giveaway by putting in your answer. If you could use all of the answers have A, B, C, or D option. So just make sure that you're putting in the letter corresponding with your answer. And then we'll draw the winners at the end of our trivia. So without further ado, we're going to head into our trivia time on the Bookish Hour. Our first question that is up. This is from JC. JC, I don't know. Can you see it on your side at all? Or
I can, yes.
All right.
Yes, I'm going to have to take off my glasses to read it. God, I'm so old. Anyway, Darcy Gaughan's idol is Gina Shock, drummer for which groundbreaking rock band? A, The Runaways, B, The Bangles, C, The Go-Go's, or D, The Indigo Girls?
That's a good
So
question.
let me tell you that again. Darcy Gaughan's idol is Gina Shock, drummer for which groundbreaking rock band? A, the Runaways, B, the Bengals, C, the Go-Go's, or D, the Indigo Girls. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and take a moment or two to put your answer in.
We'll put our answers in, and you are allowed to use Google if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
We can't stop you.
This is also one of my wife's favorite bands of all time too. So
wonderful. All right, we're gonna give folks 10 more seconds to get their answers in.
yeah, well, okay. Sarah, when we do this next year, we're going to have some reasonable facsimile of the Jeopardy theme song here playing in the
That's
background.
true. Well, you're gonna have to get one of your kiddos to write it for us, I think.
Oh, I told him about our offer. Folks, we'll tell you about this at the end of the show about some exciting developments for season 3, but he is all in. He can't wait, and he wants to talk to you about it.
Awesome. All right. JC, you want to tell us what our answer is?
The answer is, drumroll please, C, the Go-Go's.
The Go-Go's. All right.
Yes.
So we have quite a few people who answered correctly.
Yeah.
So that is always fun. So we're going to move on to question 2.
And I just want to say real quick, not bad. A couple of folks didn't get it. They guessed the Bengals. Bengals were huge in the 80s. They're still touring, by the way. So good effort there. Okay, Sarah.
Good effort. That's what we like. We like effort. Okay, our next question is one from my side of the room. We have Instagram is Coco's favorite social media app. What year was it first launched? A, 2007, B, 2010, C, 2012, or D, 2005?
I'll be honest, I have no idea.
I do very much have an idea because I very much remember when Instagram first took over my college experience.
God, yeah.
If anybody knows when I graduated, you'll have a little bit of a leg up. All right. We're getting 10 seconds left. 3, 2, 1. All right. 2010.
Really?
B.
Okay.
Yeah. We have so that was it really just like came on the scene and haven't looked back since.
Yeah.
So
okay.
We had some mixed results on that one, but a lot of our folks do seem to know either when I graduated or they're very much in tune with when Instagram came on. All right, our next question, JC, this one is back over to you.
Okay. And I'm only going to read this once because, folks, you don't need to hear my voice. You can see it. What is the name of JC's fabulous feline friend? I mean, come on, folks. A, Marta, B, Luna, C, Peaches, or D, Maria?
And we have DHB, I would hope, joking, saying, what is Instagram?
Well, while everyone is making their votes for my fabulous, cat. Yes, okay. DHB is, oh, well, that's okay. So DHB, Instagram is like, I guess, Sarah, I would call it Facebook for pictures.
Yes. I would even say it's more, I don't know, because you can't really like have discourse on Instagram like you can Facebook.
True. Yeah.
I think it's for folks who know what Tumblr is, although that could be confusing even more.
Yeah. DHB, basically it's like, it's a website. It's now owned by the Facebook folks. And it's basically, you put up pictures and, a single or maybe a few pictures at a time. People who are big in food like to post a lot of those things. A lot of decorating folks. A lot of authors are on there now too.
Yes. It's a great place to be.
Yes.
All right. JC, the name of your feline friend.
I will give you all a hint. She makes her appearance every Monday morning. It is the one, the only, the fabulous. You know her, you love her. Even I don't know if she loves me at times. Maria. Thank you very much.
Good. Maria is a goddess. I highly recommend folks getting on board with Monday Morning Maria because
Yes.
her faces are just so funny. All right, so this post is for another giveaway. So this is the $10 Bandcamp gift card. JC, this is back to Darcy.
Glasses off. Darcy Gahn has a degree in music performance from which Indiana college? A, Indiana University, B, Ball State University, C, Butler University, or D, Purdue University. And I can tell you all four of those schools have music programs, by the way.
So this is going to be a tricky one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a little bit of a tricky one there.
All right, folks, we'll have 10 seconds left to get your answer in. Because guess what? We've almost got 10 minutes left in our bookish hour.
No fair. It's fun talking about our own books, Sarah.
I know. All right. 3, 2, 1.
The answer is B, Ball State.
Ball State.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Ball State.
We didn't have anybody. I don't think we had anybody get this one right.
We did not, unfortunately. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll go back and we'll figure out one of the other ones, and we'll award it to that.
We'll do the Maria post.
Yeah. We'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Darcy graduated from Ball State, which is also where my younger son just graduated in music education. So that's a little tip of the hat to the cards there. Okay.
All right.
Next question, Sarah.
Our next giveaway question is, this one's going to be, we'll see if anybody gets this one right. Coco rose to fame when her startup was acquired by Facebook. What was the name of the startup? A, My Way, B, FeedRight, C, Live or D, Scroll Pro? And I think after this show, I'm going to go copyright every single one of those names because I had fun coming up with the the answers for this one.
And Karina, thank you very much for saying congratulations, Dayton. That punk is on vacation in Florida this week. He's got it good.
Ooh, that's a fun graduation getaway.
Yeah. Well, his fiance's family took him down there. So, yeah. Okay, 10 seconds, folks, on this one.
3, 2, 1. Her startup was Live It.
Live It. Nice. You had a lot of C's there. Good job.
Good job, folks.
Here you go, folks.
All right. This is not for a giveaway, but this is just to see how well people follow my social media color scheme. She uses them all the time. What are Sarah's 2 favorite colors? Teal and coral, green and pink, navy and gray, or purple and gold? And I think a lot of it, there are a huge number of spoilers in this presentation deck.
I'm going to feel silly if I'm wrong.
I would be a little offended if you
I'm sorry.
Know. All right. In 10 seconds, get your answers in. 5, 4, 3, 2. It is purple and gold.
Yes.
Which happen to be the colors of my alma mater. And fun fact, the reason why I went there for a tour in the first place is because they sent me a purple and gold flyer. And I was like, I love these 2 colors. I should check this college out.
I tell you what, purple and gold, that is a stellar combination. That really is.
It's very regal. And I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah.
All right. This one is a fun one. And I think this is our last one. For our trivia extravaganza that we had.
Yes, it is.
And this is just a fun one for folks who have been with us for a really long time on the Bookish Hour. We've mentioned this
Hmm.
a couple times, so it's a little bit of an Easter egg. But how did we first, JC and myself, first meet? Was it at a conference, on Twitter, at a bookshop, or through Sisters in Crime? And we'll do rapid fire on this one.
Yeah, this is the deep cut.
This is 3, 2, 1. We met on Twitter.
We did.
Of all places. It used to be well, maybe I'm not a part of the right communities anymore, but Twitter used to be a place that I felt like was a really fun space to be in, but it's since changed. But
Yeah.
luckily we have our connection now through
Yes.
the Bookish Hour. So
Yeah.
congratulations to everybody who answered our questions just to begin with, and a big congratulations to the folks who answered our questions correctly.
Yeah.
Our winners for this evening, and I'm just going to put back our title slide because you'll want to email me at the giveaways at thebookishhour.com email address. Our folks who have won gift cards, we have Karina Moss and Mark Baker who have won Bandcamp cards.
All right. Congrats,
Congratulations,
folks.
guys. Thank you. And we have our viewer, Evan Grant, and Farmhouse Reader, who have won our Etsy gift cards for the evening. So congratulations, everybody. Email me your, I guess, just email address. So just send me a quick note. I'll get them. JC and I will get you your rewards, and you'll be able to enjoy your spoils of our delightful trivia experience.
Yeah.
So congratulations, everybody.
Yeah.
Real quickly, because we are running up against our hour, we always sign off with a what are we reading? What are we watching? JC, what's on the docket right now?
Okay, I have not started it yet, but I am going to start tonight. The fabulous M.A. Monin has her second book coming out here shortly, and oh my God, I can't believe I just forgot the title.
Death on the Grand Canal.
Yes, I was going to say it's based in Italy this time. So what's the title again?
Death on the Grand Canal.
Death on the Grand Canal. Yes. So that's what I'm going to be reading. I'm also in the middle of Ellen Byron's lovely, funny, wonderful Bayou Book Thief. So those are a couple of suggestions for y'all. How about you, Sarah?
I am, I just got a copy of Jennifer Chow's new book, Hot Pot Murder, which I'm really excited about. We're getting it's so fun getting to read books from folks that have visited us on the Bookish Hour and who are going to be coming on the Bookish Hour, because M.A. Monin is going to be visiting us at the end of the month. I believe our next Thursday episode is the 25th. I always forget.
Yes.
Yeah, the 25th.
Yep.
So we will all be talking about Death on the Grand Canal, which I'm very excited about as well.
Yeah.
In the non-mystery sphere, you guys know that I've been reading a bunch of manga and just devouring everything. I read over the weekend 14 books. I was deep in this series, but I had to pause it because I caught up to the end of the series and now I have to wait for them to come out. So I just started, this one is called the Uran Host Club, which I actually watched this on Netflix and am excited to read it in the manga form. And then what I'm watching, I am watching Vinland Saga on Netflix because it's like anime and Vikings together, which are two things that I very much enjoy. So it's a really cool story so far.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I'm watching. I probably no big surprise here to folks who I'm probably the last to the party, watching Chuck. Yes, the kids were young when Chuck came around the first time, and so we knew about it. And it was one of those shows that I always kind of wanted to watch it, just didn't have the time because of the age of the kids. And I'm watching it now, and I am loving it. I am laughing out loud. It is so much fun.
Have they done the rains down in Africa moment yet? Have you gotten there?
No, they have not. But
one of my favorite moments.
younger son Aiden and I are both huge fans of the prog rock band Rush, and I just watched the episode that featured Rush, and so that was just so much fun. So yes, it's silly and it's fun, and it's a blast.
I can't remember how far I got in the series, and I need to go back because there's talk that there might be a movie coming out. So
Yeah, it will be cool. Yeah.
I think that it's just so fun. And it looks like we have a lot of folks that have found Chuck delightful.
Yeah.
So excellent, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, our hour flew by as it always does, even though we didn't have
Indeed.
somebody else to chat with this time around. We certainly know how to keep things bookish over here.
Yeah.
So again, JC, congratulations on your release.
Thank you. And Sarah, congratulations to you on your
Oh,
release.
thank you. Oh, thank you so
You know,
much.
if y'all will give us a couple of minutes, Sarah, what's up next for Coco?
Coco she is in for the most wild adventure yet. I was trying to figure out how I could top the events of book 2 because Coco always seems to find her way into the spotlight. This time around, though, she has to share the spotlight when another social media influencer comes to town,
Ooh.
only to end up dead.
Will it?
And how things unfold, I'm still waiting to see because I am about halfway through writing it. So,
All right. Well, cool.
It's going. What about Darcy? What's next for
You
her?
know, what I'm going to tell y'all now, you're all going to be in on a secret here. This is going to be book 3 is going to be Darcy's swan song. And all I'm going to say is there is hopefully a bunch of happy tears at a certain reunion at the end.
I want to say goodbye. But I'm all for happy endings. I do not watch. I really don't watch things unless I know that they have a happy ending.
Yeah.
So so it sounds like we have some great stuff to look forward to. And here on the Bookish Hour and our companion show, A Bookish Moment, we've got a big slate coming. We've got a lot of folks coming in for a Bookish Moment because we're able to schedule those a little bit more flexibly than our hour-long shows on Thursdays. We've got a really great lineup for the rest of the season. If you want to check out who will be here, make sure to head to our website, itsbookishtime.com, and you can see who we have on the calendar and the amazing books that we're going to be talking about.
Yes. And I want to say while y'all are here, Sarah does the lion's work of this. I joke about it a lot on here, but Sarah does 99% of this work, folks. So, I tip my hat to you, Sarah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to check in with Mary in 2 weeks. And we have fun coming up this summer and then next fall.
We do. And again, thank you to our viewers who have joined us here live. You guys make it fun. You make it exciting. You make it really engaging. And we really appreciate you sharing your time with us. And to the folks who watch afterwards, we're just delighted that you can listen in to our conversations, our laughter, and all of the good stuff that we talk about here. And if you do have questions for us and you aren't on a live show, feel free to comment and we can pop on to our YouTube channel and answer those for you. So we're always connected some way or another. And again, we thank you very much. Make sure to like and subscribe so you get those notifications when we do go live. And we will see you on our next episode. Until then, stay bookish. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much for being here.